amazing is this? If you could take all of the Ericness in the world and condense it down into one incredibly concentrated neutron star of Eric, this lick would be it. The fearsome, the vaunted Harmonic Arpeggio. It's all of the things that are amazing about Eric's style condensed into one incredible ascending, concentrated lightning bolt burst of minor sonics, pentatonic speed and virtuosity, sweeping downward pick slanting, and of course this incredible cherry on the top of the sundae, this note that only dogs can hear, this incredible harmonic activated by the right hand. So amazing, I never get tired of playing this. He's doing it here in F, which is a half step above the key that makes everything easy and convenient, therefore Eric does it in F. But it doesn't matter because it always flows from the same exact pentatonic shape, the same basic skeletal structure, and of course that shape is the second position of the pentatonic scale. We've seen this before. We hinted that the second position of the pentatonic scale has a special significance in Eric's playing as the source of an important ascending figure in his musical vocabulary. This is that ascending figure. And the basic structure of it, if we take this from the second position pentatonic here in F, is this. And it's a very interesting structure because we have a couple of notes missing. And on the first string, we only play this note. That's the first note of the second position pentatonic, and then we leave out this one. So to look at the stock form, it would normally be small, big, big, and the small is offset. It's up by 1 fret, and then we move back 1 fret, and we do the 2 big shapes. But instead, this time we're just playing the first note on the 6th string, and then we're omitting the second one. We're moving directly to the next 2. And then we've got the middle finger alone on the G string. And then we move directly to the top 2, which are 2 small shapes again. So the whole thing then it's the entire 6 strings of the second position of the pentatonic scale, except 2 of the strings are missing 1 note. The first string, the 6th string, and the G string. That's the sequence. That's, let's call it the skeleton of the basic lick. And then from this skeleton or around it, he can hang all kinds of incredible variations. If we look at this shape in its purest form, here's a version of it where he just plays the skeleton. Oh, man, so amazing. This is the least adorned version of the harmonic arpeggio that Eric plays. It's basically a straight line burst of speed right across the second position of the pentatonic scale. As we're moving across the strings here, picking structure-wise, it's very specific, but again, exactly as you'd expect. We have 2 downstrokes in the beginning. And this is very similar to those pentatonic pickups that we looked at, where you could either have 2 downstrokes, the bounce downstrokes, or you could just sweep right across. Now, we get to the second string of the lick here, the A string, and that's going to be down up and then down up again to the 2 big shapes, exactly as you would in any ascending pentatonic situation in Eric's playing. Now, alternate picking to the G string, downstroke on that single note by itself. How do we handle that kind of situation? Of course, we use a sweep. And this little unit right here, this is another one of these 2-string pentatonic sweep rudiment style units, where we do a downstroke and then downstroke and then an up, and then we can repeat that unit if we like. In this case, we're just blazing right across in a straight line, so we just keep going. We do that downstroke, sweep, so it's down, down, then the upstroke. Now, we alternate pick right up to the high E string, and the index finger is the first note in this part of the pentatonic scale. Now we have one minor, pardon the pun, adornment, and that is we skip this note, the next note of the second position pentatonic, and then we add instead the pinky up here. And in so doing, of course, we very clearly trace out that minor triad, and in combination with the flat 7 right before it, that other note on the B string, we have traced out our minor arpeggio. Just 4 notes, 2 notes per string on adjacent strings, really easy to do, and very much a subset of the pentatonic scale. And when we remove that extra note, all of a sudden it brings that chord color into very dramatic relief. Now all I'm doing is just repeating those notes on the top two strings here, and it's just down, up, down on the low string, and then down, up on the high string. So we have basically a looping figure with a note missing, and that gives it kind of an off-kilter feel. It sounds pretty cool. It makes a cool exercise. Of course, it would also make a pretty cool phrase to use as on its own right. This is a very common shape for doing two-string arpeggios where you have the root note and the flat 7 on the lower string. And then you have the third and the 5 on the upper string. You have this very strong outline of a minor triad there, and then you have the flat 7 right below it. And Eric uses this in both major and minor contexts, but in this case, because we have this very strong outline of a minor triad right at the top, and of course that amazing harmonic note, which emphasizes the root of the chord, right there, that's the root. And so at the very top of this line, this figure, we have a very straight ahead minor arpeggio that spans a complete octave with the flat 7 below it, and it gives us a very strong minor sensibility. It's worth noting that down lower on in the second position of the pentatonic scale, there's another way to fret a two-string minor arpeggio, and it would be this. Same exact notes, but totally different sound, right? This sounds like blues, this sounds like pentatonic, and it's really pretty amazing how powerful the contextual element of this all is. It's exactly the same notes as a major 6 arpeggio. We saw that in that Billy the Kid example. The big and the big with a smaller gap in between them, and that's where you have that 1, 2, 3, 5 shape on the piano keyboard. That's exactly this shape here, but it doesn't really have that very strong minor sensibility to it. And again, it has to do with the intervallic layout and the fact that up here we have that triad kind of in a row, and here the interval is actually split between the high note of the pattern and the low note, so it's almost disguised in a way. It almost doesn't sound like the same arrangement of notes, and we're not even playing them simultaneously. So that again would make this a little clearer. You can play on a piano keyboard a minor 7 chord and hit all those notes at once, and then you move through inversions and it all sounds pretty much the same. But here, once you start to separate out the notes and there isn't any bleed between them anymore, it's like you're outlining a whole different chord shape.